Good morning. This meeting is called to order. Mr. Trobman, has anyone signed up for public comment? Thank you very much. Good morning, Ms. Miller.
Good morning, sir.
How are we today?
Very well, thank
Oh,
you.
well, good. No cases to reconsider under agenda item 3.
That's correct.
All right, let's consider tax liability cases under agenda item 4. I believe we have one tax case on docket 39.
Yes, sir. It's case number TD-21-021-0721. Commissioner Demerson?
I agree with staff recommendation.
Commissioner Alvarez?
I agree with staff's recommendation.
And
I
Mr.
agree with
Chairman?
staff recommendation.
Thank you.
No fair housing cases under agenda item 5.
Correct. No cases.
Agenda item 6, no wage claim cases pulled for additional discussion.
Correct. None pulled for discussion, but you should have received the wage claim short form dissent list for docket 39.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining wage claim cases on docket 39.
I second the motion except for those cases on which I am dissenting as reflected on the wage claim short form dissent list for docket 39.
I concur with the chairman's motion, except for the cases on which I'm dissenting as reflected in the wage claim short form dissent list for docket 39.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's move to agenda item 7, consideration of unemployment insurance cases. Docket 39, please proceed when you're ready.
Case number 2504890, Commissioner Alvarez.
The decision is not supportable. I do not dispute the finding that the claimant lacks good cause for her non-appearance at the AT1. Nevertheless, the underlying decision is not supportable. The earnings and hours entered on the payment request for benefit week ending March 21st, 2020 indicate that the claimant was,
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of feedback. Test 1, 2, test. Nothing. It's
Test.
on.
Testing. Aye.
We could get some TWC branded megaphones and speak into those. Communications team, we need megaphones like the cheerleaders have. TWC printed on one side, Workforce Solutions on the other.
and uniforms for the commissioners.
I think it's the wind in the arena. Well, it sounds a little better.
Commissioner Alvarez,
I can't hear the band anymore.
talking to your mic, see if it works.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
I think we're good to go.
Chairman, if I may proceed.
Oh, please.
Nevertheless, the underlying decision is not supportable. The earnings and hours entered on the payment request for benefit week ending March 21st, 2020 indicate that the claimant was only making 18 cents per hour. This was clearly a mistake. The claimant's AT appeal, which was available to AT1, explains the mistake. The claimant only worked 12 hours during benefit week ending March 21st, 2020. The claimant was not working her customary full-time hours at the time she filed her claim. Modify the AT, no good cause for claimant's non-appearance, customary full-time hours eligible, memo to UI to correct earnings for benefit week ending March 21st, 2020.
The appeal tribunal decision should be affirmed. Regarding good cause, the claimant failed to participate in the hearing because she got her days mixed up. The latter does not constitute circumstances beyond the claimant's power to control. Therefore, the claimant did not have good cause for a non-appearance. As to the customary full-time hours issue, the available evidence in this case indicates that the claimant was working her customary full-time hours for the claim week in question. Accordingly, we should affirm the AT decision. The claimant did not have good cause for a non-appearance. The claimant was working her customary full-time hours from March 15th, 2020 through March 21st, 2020.
Modify the AT. Claimant did not establish good cause for AT1. Claimant did not work customary full-time hours from March 15th through March 21st, 2020. Memo to contact claimant to correct earnings for the week ending March 21st, 2020.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent, sir.
Thank you.
Case number 2590361, Commissioner Demerson.
The appeal tribunal decision should be affirmed. I agree that the claimant filed a timely petition to reopen, did not have cause for her non-appearance, and filed a valid claim. As to the job separation, the claimant was apprised by the employer of her need to provide medical certification documentation to properly process her leave time. The employer did not receive the documentation from the claimant in a timely manner. The employer's administrative separation policy also states that the separation can occur for failure to provide FMLA certification. The claimant's separation was the result of her failing to comply with the employer's policy. As such, the claimant's actions constituted the equivalent of work-connected misconduct, and we should affirm the AT decision. Timely claimant petition to reopen. The claimant did not have good cause for a non-appearance. The claimant filed a valid claim. Misconduct. Reimbursing employer not bill, and sever the adequate response issue.
The decision should be modified. The claimant filed a timely petition to reopen. However, the claimant did not have good cause for missing the AT hearing. Additionally, the claimant filed a valid claim. Regarding the job separation, the claimant was separated when she stopped working because she had a fever and sought medical treatment. As the claimant was separated due to a medical issue, she should be qualified for benefits. Modify the AT timely petition to reopen. No good cause, valid claim, no misconduct, bill employer, and void adequate response.
Modify the AT, timely petition to reopen. Claimant did not establish good cause for AT1, valid claim, misconduct, reimbursing employer not billed, sever adequate response.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent. Commissioner Alvarez.
Case number 2680150, Commissioner Alvarez.
This case should This case should receive a rehearing on the timeliness of the appeal to the commission. The AT decision in this case was mailed to an invalid mailing address. Therefore, there can be no presumption that the claimant received it. Rehear on the timeliness of commission appeal.
The claimant's late appeal to the commission should be dismissed. The decision that the claimant's appeal to the appeal tribunal was late and was mailed to the claimant's correct address of record, but he appealed to the commission more than 2 weeks past the deadline. There's nothing to show that the claimant's late appeal was due to a factor outside of his control. Accordingly, we should dismiss the claimant's late appeal to the commission, leaving in place the appeal tribunal decision dismissing his earlier appeal as late, and leaving in place the initial determination of claim fraud in an overpayment of $2,084.
Late commission appeal, the AT decision remains in full force and effect.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Alvarez.
Case number 2690975, Commissioner Alvarez.
The AT2 decision should be reversed. The claimant failed to appear for the AT1 hearing because he was out of town working when the notice of telephone hearing was mailed to him and the AT1 hearing held. However, he waited 5 months after he filed his initial appeal before the commission finally set a hearing. Additionally, the nature of the claimant's work requires moving to a different area of the country and working variable school hours. Given all these factors, the claimant had good cause for his non-appearance at the AT1. Reverse the AT2 claimant had good cause for non-appearance at the AT1 and resubmit for merits. Alternatively, the AT1 decision on the job separation is not supportable. The only indication that the claimant quit was a form provided by the employer. The employer did not provide any statements to claims examiners about the claimant's separation. The claimant stated to the claims examiner and in his appeal to the AT1 that he was laid off when he was told that the employer would call him for the next job, but never did. There is insufficient evidence in the record before the AT1 to support a finding that the claimant quit the job without good cause connected with the work. Rather, the evidence established that the claimant was laid off when his job ended and the employer never called him for another job. Modify the AT, claimant did not have good cause for the non-appearance, no misconduct, chargeback.
We should affirm the appeal tribunal decision. Regarding good cause, as the party appealing in adverse determination, the claimant should have been monitoring his mail regularly. Since the claimant worked out of state for months at a time and did not make arrangements for checking his mail, he failed to show that he was prevented from participating in the first AT hearing due to circumstances beyond his control. As to the job separation, in the absence of testimony from the parties, the employer's response to the notice of claim supports the finding that the claimant quit without good cause connected with the work. In addition, because the disqualification is appropriate, the resulting overpayment is also appropriate. Accordingly, we should affirm the AT decision. The claimant did not have good cause for missing the AT1, voluntary leaving, overpayment of $1,042.
Affirm the AT, claimant did not establish good cause for AT1, voluntary leaving, overpayment.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir, Commissioner Alvarez.
Case number 2707252, Commissioner Demerson.
We should modify the appeal tribunal decision. Regarding the job separation, the claimant notified the employer that she would no longer be able to work full-time because she was starting nursing school. The claimant submitted a request to work PRN for the employer. In accordance with Commission Precedent, by severely restricting her hours to attend nursing school, the claimant is deemed to have quit without good cause connected with the work. Furthermore, the claimant had worked for the employer for more than 9 years, so the job was clearly suitable. As to the availability issue, because the claimant was attending commission-approved training, the claimant is available for work and the ineligibility should be reversed. Accordingly, we should modify the AT decision. Voluntary leaving, the claimant is available for work.
The decision should be reversed. The claimant made a request to work PRN in order to attend school. However, 3 days after making the request and before the request was approved, the claimant contracted COVID-19. Her own personal illness forced her to miss work and was the cause of her separation. As the claimant was separated from work due to her own illness, she should be qualified for benefits due to an MBI. Regarding the availability issue, as the claimant's school program is commission-approved training, she is available for work. Reverse the AT, no misconduct, MBI, available for work.
Modify the AT, voluntary leaving, claimant is available for work.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir, Commissioner Alvarez.
Case number 2714595, Commissioner Alvarez.
The AT decision should be modified. The claimant did not accurately report his earnings for a number of claim weeks. He reported his hours of work accurately, but when the computer system requested his earnings, he instead input his wage rate because he believed that the system would calculate his earnings by multiplying his hours by his wage rate. Under Appeal Number 29792-AT-66 in the Appeals Policy and Precedent Manual, the standard approved to establish fraud is clear and convincing evidence. Given that the claimant's education level, the evidence indicates that the mistake was made in good faith. There is not clear and convincing evidence that he made this error with the intent to commit fraud. We should recalculate his overpayment to reflect his actual earnings in his claim weeks, but we should not impose the fraud forfeiture provisions of Section 201.003 of the Act. Modify the AT, no fraud imposed, recalculate overpayment.
The AT decision is supportable. The claimant misrepresented his earnings from a job he held during multiple claim filing weeks. Although he argued that he thought it was permissible to report only partial information about his hours and pay rate, that was not credible since in an earlier claim week he had reported his gross earnings as instructed. He had no good faith explanation for failing to follow the instructions in the benefits handbook and on the claim certification forms, which he claimed to have read. Those instructions are very clear and leave no room for doubt. The precedent case indicating that fraud that does not affect the weekly benefit amount is not covered by the fraud statute does not apply for two reasons. First, fraud may be found in a case where work is not reported if it conceals a work separation, even if the benefit amount is not affected. And second, the amount by which the claimant underreported his earnings substantially affected the weekly benefits to which he was entitled. Accordingly, we should affirm the AT decision. The claimant committed fraud, overpayment of $3,362.
Affirm the AT, the forfeiture provisions of Section 214.003 of the Act are applied, overpayment.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir, Commissioner Alvarez.
Case number 2725203, Commissioner Alvarez.
The decision should be reversed. This case was reheard in order to obtain the employer's reporting policy. The employer testified that the policy requires employees to call or email within 48 hours of the assignment ending, and employees are encouraged to directly contact their recruiter. The employer testified that they were unsure if the claimant spoke to the recruiter about reassignment because the recruiter no longer worked for the employer. At the AT hearing, the claimant testified that he left a message with the recruiter asking for more work. As such, the greater weight of the evidence indicates that the claimant asked the employer for additional work and was not offered any additional assignment. Therefore, the claimant was laid off at the end of his assignment when no further work was available. Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
We should affirm the appeal tribunal decision. Despite being provided an opportunity to provide documentary evidence that he complied with the employer's reporting policy, the claimant failed to participate in the rehearing. Because the claimant did not report for reassignment as required, the AT decision that the claimant is deemed to have quit without good cause connected with the work is fully supportable. We should affirm the AT decision, voluntary leaving, no chargeback.
Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir, Commissioner Demerson.
Case number 2860193, Commissioner Demerson.
We should modify the AT decision. The claimant provided sworn firsthand testimony that his separation was a direct result of the COVID-19 pandemic. The claimant's testimony detailed that the employer did not have additional work available for the claimant on or about the time of his separation. Since the claimant's separation arose from the lingering effects of the pandemic, the claimant should be qualified for benefits and the employer's account should be protected from charge. We should therefore modify the AT decision, no misconduct, no chargeback, disaster.
Ms. Miller, I would agree with Commissioner Demerson.
Agreed.
We have a unanimous decision. Thank you.
Case number 2883793, Commissioner Alvarez.
The claimant had good cause for missing the first appeal tribunal hearing because he did not receive the hearing notice. Regarding the filing issue, the claimant testified he had technological issues logging into the system in January and February of 2020. He contacted TWC by phone several times, but would encounter the same technological issues despite the assistance. The issues were eventually resolved, and the claimant was able to file requests in March and April of 2020. The claimant's testimony is consistent with the initial appeal to the filing determination. The only statements inconsistent with the claimant's testimony were not entered into the system by the claimant. The claimant's inability to file timely payments requests in January and February 2020 were due to circumstances beyond his control. Modify the AT good cause, filing eligible.
We should affirm the AT decision. I do not contest the good cause finding. Regarding the filing issue, in his fact-finding statements, the claimant specified that he did not file the payment request on time due to a misunderstanding of the filing date and the filing instructions. Moreover, the claimant detailed that he did not contact the commission to clarify the filing instructions. Although the claimant testified at the AT hearing that he attempted to submit payment requests for the period in question, his prior statements, which contradict his AT testimony, are more credible. Hence, the AT decision should be affirmed. The claimant had good cause for his non-appearance, filing not eligible from January 12, 2020 through February 29, 2020.
Affirm the AT, claimant established good cause for AT1, filing not eligible January 12, 2020 through February 29, 2020.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir, Commissioner Alvarez.
Case number 2897629, Commissioner Alvarez.
The decision is not supportable. The claimant injured his shoulder in February of 2020. He has provided medical documentation showing he was injured and examined at that time. He informed the employer of the injury and attempted to continue working as he could not afford surgery. The employer tried to work with the claimant, but continued work aggravated the injury. The pain eventually became unbearable and the claimant was unable to continue performing the work. The claimant has provided medical documentation showing he was re-examined and that the pain was worsening at the time he quit. The claimant's separation was the result of a medically verified injury. Modify the AT, valid claim, no voluntary leaving, MBI.
We should affirm the AT decision. First, I agree that the claim is valid. As to the job separation, although the claimant consulted a physician about his injury, his physician did not advise him to quit his job. Moreover, the claimant testified that the employer was trying to accommodate the claimant at the workplace. In spite of this, the claimant did not request medical leave nor any leave of absence from the employer. Finally, the claimant admitted telling the claims examiner that he quit due to too many late-night phone calls and being too tired to drive safely. Since the claimant's physician did not advise him to quit, and the claimant testified that his resignation was caused by factors unrelated to his injury, the claimant quit without good cause connected with the work. We should affirm the AT decision, valid initial claim, voluntary leaving.
Affirm the AT, valid claim, voluntary leaving.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir, Commissioner Alvarez.
Case number 2901003, Commissioner Alvarez.
The decision is not supportable. The claimant had been working for the employer for over 4 years. She was offered 2 positions in other departments. The claimant notified her supervisor via a 2-week notice that she would be accepting one of the positions. Instead of checking with HR about the claimant's move, her supervisors accepted her resignation early, making her ineligible to move to the new position. The employer also would not allow the claimant to revoke the notice. The employer effectively discharged the claimant for accepting another position with the employer. Modify the AT, valid claim, no misconduct, chargeback.
We should modify the AT decision. The claimant submitted her 2 weeks' notice of resignation upon accepting another position at the employer's place of business. When the claimant's new employment opportunity did not materialize, she asked the employer to void her notice of resignation. The employer, in good faith, had accepted the claimant's resignation on the date that she had provided her 2-week notice. In accordance with Commission President, by resigning to accept other employment which did not materialize, the claimant thereby voluntarily left her last work without good cause connected with the work. As such, we should modify the AT decision, voluntary leaving, no chargeback, sever the validity of claim issue.
We should rehear the case to fully develop the record on some issues, including whether or not the claimant was offered the new position prior to resignation, a copy of the claimant's resignation letter, whether the claimant needed to resign before transferring, the claimant's dissatisfaction with her supervisor that led her to seek a different position.
Ms. Miller, I would agree with the chairman's vote.
Thank you. We will rehear the case.
Case number 2901785, Commissioner Demerson.
The appeal tribunal decision on timeliness should be reversed. The employer testified that it submitted a timely appeal. Furthermore, the employer stated that the appeal was mailed many days before the deadline. The employer also submitted its letter of appeal, which bore a stamp that reads, "Received September 18, 2020. The employer testified that the stamp is not one of its own. The date fell inside the appeal period. In addition, the employer stated that after the Commission's fax machine did not work, it mailed its appeal the same day, September 16, 2020, which was also inside the appeal period, and the employer should not be penalized for its mailing envelope not being found by the Commission. As such, we should find the employer's appeal timely and reverse the AT decision on timeliness. Timely employer appeal, resubmit.
The AT decision should be modified. With regard to the timeliness issue, there is sufficient evidence in the Commission records to establish a timely employer appeal. Regarding the reimbursement issue, the wage verification should be affirmed. The claimant stopped working at the end of the school term. No more work was available, and she was involuntarily separated for reasons that did not constitute misconduct connected with the work. Modify the AT, timely employer appeal, bill reimbursing employer.
Reverse the AT, timely employer appeal, reimbursing employer not billed.
I agree with the chairman.
Thank you. Reimbursing employer not billed. Commissioner Alvarez, did you wish to dissent on the reimbursing issue?
Yes.
I have your dissent, sir. And that is the last UI case pulled for additional discussion on docket 39. You should have received the UI short form dissent list for docket 39.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining UI cases on docket 39.
I second the motion except for those cases of which I'm dissenting, as reflected on the UI short form dissent list for docket 39.
I concur with the chairman's motion except for the cases on which I'm dissenting as reflected in the UI short form dissent list for docket 39.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Let's pause for just a couple minutes while we get some additional personnel in for the rest of the meeting. This is item number 8, BET, Customer Satisfaction Survey.
Good morning, Commissioner, Mr. Serna. For the record, Lizette Hinojosa Vocational Rehab. Today, I have the potential action, the 2021 BET Customer Satisfaction Survey and Cost Analysis Report. The Texas Workforce Commission is required to submit the report pursuant to TWC Rider 37 as part of TWC performance reporting for the BET program for the 2020-2021 biennium. Rider 37 reads as follows. The Texas Workforce Commission shall report by October 1st of each year of the biennium the following information to the Legislative Budget Board and the Governor. A, the result of the survey and the cost analysis report distributed to state host agencies on satisfaction of operational conditions such as pricing requirements, hours of operation, menu items, and product lines. And B, the total cost incurred by each state host agency for the operation of business enterprises of Texas cafeterias, snack bars, and convenience stores. This year, the survey was conducted from May 11th through June the 18th. We did have 23 of 46 state agencies that responded for a total of 723 customer responses. This response was considerably lower than prior responses, obviously due to COVID and the majority of state employees still continuing to work from home. The categories in the survey remained pretty stable with only 1 to 2 percentage points in each of the survey questions. BET survey respondents did report that they did see an improvement in BET operations overall. And survey responses also indicated that there are still some areas for improvement, specifically in the expansion of healthy offerings. As in 2020, the 2021 survey did include several questions that were directly related to COVID. These questions will assist us in helping us make informed decisions of potential new business models for BET. Staff seeks approval to present the report to the Office of the Governor and the Legislative Budget Board. And this completes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any comments or questions?
None here, Chairman.
No, none here.
Do we have a motion?
Chairman, I move that we approve Business Enterprises of Texas Customer Satisfaction Survey and Cost Analysis Report 2021 for submission to the Governor and Legislative Budget Board as recommended by staff.
Thank you.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We're unanimous. Thank you. This is agenda item number 9, We Hire Ability Year-Round Cycle.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Alvarez, Commissioner Demerson, and Mr. Serna. For the record, Cheryl Fuller, Vocational Rehabilitation Division. The Commission established the We Hire Ability Employer Recognition Program to recognize employers whose Texas-based workforce is comprised of at least 10% people with disabilities working in competitive integrated employment. The program launched in April of this year, and staff have subsequently worked to raise awareness about this opportunity for employers to be recognized for their efforts to hire people with disabilities. Our outreach efforts have included social media posts, announcement to distribution lists of partners and stakeholders, providing information to our local VR staff and local boards, and most recently partnering with the Workforce Development Division to co-brand and jointly promote We Hire Ability and We Hire Vets. Your offices have also been instrumental in promoting We Hire Ability to stakeholders and employers, and we are very grateful for that. This morning, staff is seeking your direction to revise the nomination period that is part of the recognition cycle for We Hire Ability. In March, we proposed a biennial recognition cycle with a 6-month period every other year in which nominations could be received from an employer or an organization nominating an employer. At that time, you provided feedback that an open nomination period would give more opportunity for employers to be recognized as the We Hire Ability program gains momentum. We are indeed beginning to receive more nominations as the result of our outreach efforts takes hold, and we believe that an open nomination period will best serve the recognition program by allowing an employer to be recognized with the We Hireability decal year-round and as soon as their nomination has been determined to meet the criteria for recognition. Staff seeks commission direction to move from the 6-month nomination period to a year-round nomination period, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Any comments or questions?
I'd just like to tell Cheryl that I'm glad to see that this is a year-round nomination period. I think there was some discussion on that when we first rolled this out, so I'm glad to see that.
I agree with Commissioner Alvarez. Very happy to see this, and Cheryl, just excited to work with your team. I was down in the Valley about 2 weeks ago, and the voc rehab team were there when I was meeting with Disability Chamber of Commerce groups, and the work that they're doing down there is pretty phenomenal. And your staff member was pretty excited about it and is looking at really pumping that up in a big, big way. It means a lot for the employees that Commissioner Alvarez represents, and it means a lot for the employers that are making those decisions to hire those with disabilities.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
All right, is there a motion?
Chairman, I move that the We Hireability Employer Recognition Program change from a defined nomination period to a year-round nomination period as discussed by staff.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We're unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is agenda item 10, VR service rate increases.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mr. Cerna, for the record, Jason Vaden, Vocational Rehabilitation Division. The 2020 Vocational Rehabilitation Comprehensive Statewide Needs Assessment, or CSNA, found a substantial decline in the number of active service providers from around 9,500 at the start of federal fiscal year 2017 down to around 4,400 by the end of 2020. Given this significant decline, the CSNA identified recovering and maintaining a robust network of service providers as one of 3 overarching needs for the VR program in Texas. It's important that the VR program must have a robust provider network, both geographically and by service type, to deliver services to customers. The substantial decline in providers over time has limited options for customers and made the ongoing delivery of services challenging. To recover and maintain our provider base, the compensation paid to providers must be competitive and align with current market rates. This need has also been raised in stakeholder forums, and we've heard feedback from multiple others. In addition, the 2020 CSNA report cited a possible discrepancy between current VR program service rates and market values. For certain VR services, payment rates and fee structures have not been reviewed and updated since 2010. And for VR services that have been added since 2010, payment rates were established using 2010 base rates. Staff analyzed a number of different methodologies and determined that the U.S. Department of Labor's Bureau of Labor Statistics Employment Cost Index, or the ECI, which is a quarterly economic series detailing the changes in the cost of labor for businesses in the U.S. economy, is the most applicable index for calculating changes in labor costs to employers. The change in the ECI from 2010 to Q1 of 2021 is 22.5%. This morning, staff seeks direction on increasing the current rates that VR pays for certain services, including employment services, pre-employment transition services, and autism spectrum disorder support services by 22.5%, rounded up to the nearest dollar, effective October 1st of 2021. Commissioners, before closing, I do want to note that given the significant increase in the federal portion of the VR grant since 2017, the program has the financial ability to absorb these rate increases and sustain them for the foreseeable future. This concludes my remarks, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any comments or questions?
Chairman, I do have a comment. Thank you, Jason, for the report. I am delighted to see these proposed rate increases. In the future, I hope that vocational rehabilitation will review rates yearly to ensure that TWC pays competitive rates and has sufficient providers to serve our customers.
No other comments. I think, Jason, you guys answered the questions that I had regarding that exact.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move that we increase the current rates that vocational rehabilitation pays for employment services, pre-employment transition services, and autism spectrum disorder support services by 22.5%, rounded up to the nearest whole dollar, effective October 1st, 2021, as discussed by staff.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We're unanimous. Thank you. This is agenda item 11, TWC annual report outline.
Good morning, Chairman Daniel, Commissioner Alvarez, Commissioner Demerson, and Mr. Cerna. For the record, Margaret Hessian, Director of Communications. You have before you today the annual outline 2021 for your consideration and approval. For review, we are seeking only the approval of the outline on the titles of each section at this time. As quick overview, this outline will be used to guide the layout and the sections of the actual report itself that will be presented at another date. The primary difference between this outline, last year's report and this year's report, is that with this year, instead of the style of report we have historically produced, we today want to tell the story of TWC in a manner that is visually engaging and appealing in a more editorial fashion. The theme of the story is recovery, how TWC is a critical connector, how TWC plays a vital part in Texas in strengthening the economy. Selected programs, therefore, will be spotlighted or featured throughout each theme. Various success stories, achievements, and accomplishments will be interwoven with appealing infographics and informational write-ups to tell our story in a way that is informative yet easy to read. I am prepared to walk you through this outline if necessary, and I'm prepared to answer any questions you all may have at this time. I welcome any edits, input, or changes. Thank you.
Any comments or questions?
And Chairman, I would just like to say I appreciate Margaret and her team coming by the office to visit with us regarding this and any input that we may have.
Thank you, Commissioner.
None here. Thank you.
Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the fiscal year 2021 TWC annual report outlined and discussed by staff.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We're unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioners.
This is item 12, BCY 2021 Child Care Local Match.
Good morning. Chairman Daniel, Commissioners, Mr. Cerna. For the record, Travis Weaver, Workforce Development Division. The Texas Workforce Commission allocates federal funding for child care services from child care and development funds to local workforce development areas. For a portion of the CCDF funding, local workforce development boards are required to secure and submit local matching funds to TWC. Boards submit annual local match pledges from private and public entities to secure federal child care funds pursuant to 809-17 and to maximize resources for child care needs in the community. Today, Workforce and Child Care Early Learning present 5 BCY 21 match agreements from 4 boards, including Borderplex, Capital Area, Dallas County, and Gulf Coast. With this action, all boards remain fully matched for BCY 21, with 13 boards exceeding their local match target. Boards have secured 108.24% of the statewide child care local match target for BCY 21, compared to 108.92% for BCY 20. At the end of the year, as match agreements are fully recognized locally, TWC's 3-member commission may be asked to approve adjusted amounts. Staff seeks direction on accepting child care pledges for BCY 21 in the amount of $1,320,279. This concludes my comments. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any comments or questions?
None here, Chairman.
None.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move that we accept child care match in the amount of $1,320,279 for board contract year 2021.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. We're unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is agenda item 13, Child Care Industry Partnership donation.
Good morning. Again, for the record, Travis Weaver, Workforce Development Division. On December 20th, 2020, the Texas Workforce Commission's 3-member commission approved $5 million in the Child Care Development Fund's statewide funds for the implementation of the Child Care Industry Partnership Program. The Child Care Industry Partnership Program provides 100% match for local cash contributions from industry partners, such as corporate foundations and private employers, leveraging funds for activities that improve the quality of child care, excluding direct child care services such as the following: apprenticeship, family child care, pre-K partnerships, business support, wage supplementation or stipends, COVID-19 response and recovery, program capacity expansion, local child care studies. Local workforce development boards partnering with a corporation or foundation may submit applications to TWC detailing how they would like to invest these funds in local efforts to expand and improve the quality of child care. CCIP requires that local cash matching funds be donated to TWC and accepted by the Commission as CCDF funds. This is in accordance with our rules in 809-17A. Today, Workforce and Childcare Early Learning present a partnership donation agreement between Permian Strategic Partnership, Inc. and Workforce Solutions Permian Basin, as well as a donation from Permian Strategic Partnership, Inc. in the amount of $75,000. Workforce Solutions Permian Basin, along with their donor, will use CCDF matching funds to support local child care studies that will center on family child care, pre-K partnerships, business support, wage supplementation or stipends, and program capacity expansion. Staff seeks direction on accepting the $75,000 matching donation and agreement from Permian Strategic Partnerships, Inc., in partnership with Workforce Solutions Permian Basin. Commissioners, this includes my comments. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any comments or questions?
None here, Chairman.
Quick question, Travis, is this the first one?
Yes, sir,
with
it
this
is.
program? Good. So kudos to the Permian Basin, Workforce Solutions Permian Basin, and then our thanks to the Permian Strategic Partnership for indulging in this effort. It should be something that's going to be worthwhile and beneficial.
Thank you.
Travis, will other boards have access to the report once it's completed?
Interesting question. I can get back to you on that one
Okay,
because it is a partnership between those two entities.
okay.
All right. Any further comments or questions?
None here, Chairman.
None?
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move that we accept the $75,000 matching donation and donation agreement from Permian Strategic Partnership, Inc. in partnership with Workforce Solutions Permian Basin.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We're unanimous. Thank
you,
you.
gentlemen. All right.
This is agenda item 14, AEL High School Equivalency Virtual Provider.
Good morning, Chair Daniel, Commissioner Alvarez, Commissioner Demerson, and Mr. Cerna. For the record, Mahalia Baldini with Workforce Development Division, Adult Education and Literacy. On July 7th of 2021, the Commission held a work session on statewide initiatives, designated funding for a series of comprehensive statewide strategies. In this meeting, the Commission approved a scalable and sustainable pilot project to expand remote and virtual access for those seeking a high school diploma or its equivalent through a virtual statewide high school equivalency provider. This initiative is funded with budget year 2022 state leadership dollars in the amount of $3.8 million. At this time, staff seeks direction on implementing this state leadership initiative for $3.8 million through an interagency contracts with two entities, the University of Texas at Austin and Texas Tech University, as outlined in today's notebook materials. With that, I'm available to answer any questions.
Comments or questions?
Chairman, I had questions, and Mahalia did a good job of responding back yesterday, so I appreciate that. Thank you for the clarification.
No questions here.
Other comments or questions?
None here, Chairman.
Thank you. None? Is there a
None here.
motion?
Yes, sir. I move that we approve the $3.8 million in AEL state leadership funds from budget year 2022 for interagency contracts with the University of Texas at Austin and Texas Tech University to implement a statewide high school equivalency virtual provider program.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. We're unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item 15, program year 21-22 AEL grantee performance measures and targets.
Good morning, Commissioners, Mr. Cerna. My name is Adam Leonard. I'm the Director of Information, Innovation, and Insight, and I'm here to present to you recommendations regarding PY 21 and 22, or PY 21 performance targets for our adult ed grantees, as well as PY 21 and PY 22 performance-based funding material. The process generally starts with getting with the program area, and so while I'm the one who's standing up here, ultimately this is something that is jointly developed between my division and workforce development, because obviously they have to direct kind of priorities and where they see the program growing and the needs as far as program and performance. So we've had a set of 3 targets that we typically contract, one related to participants served, one related to measurable skills gained, another related to exit-based outcome measures, and we're recommending that we would again use those measures going forward. We made a slight tweak this year for participants served to simplify the number of different categories that we're tracking in our negotiations. We did negotiate those with the grantees. For measurable skills gains, we had negotiated with the Department of Education as part of the WIOA biennial process. Those are what we're recommending we go forward with for grantees this year. And then we have our General Appropriation Act measures and their targets for the exit-based outcome measures. In terms of performance-based funding, we made a couple tweaks to try to better explain or lay out the ideas behind it, but they are the same as in prior years, basically. So we have the one related to high school equivalency or ability to benefit enrollment and achievement, which is legislatively mandated. We also have one relating to rapid employment of students for the year, so trying to get ahead of the numbers to be served in the first part of the year relative to the end of the year, and then finally kind of an accelerated MSG process where we are looking for achievement earlier in the year than just at the end of the year. So I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about this.
Comments or questions?
None here, Chairman.
No, here, I'm just going to continue to appreciate the work that you guys put in this with briefing the different offices. Thank you, our office in particular.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move that we approve staff's recommendation for program year 2021 AEL grantee performance measures and the outlined targeted methodologies and the program year 2021 performance-based funding measures, methodologies, and the fund release schedule, including committing program year 2022 performance-based funding to recognize program year 2021 achievements.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Were unanimous?
Thank you.
Thank you. This is agenda item 16, Workforce Awards.
Good morning, Chair Daniel, Commissioners, Mr. Cerna. For the record, my name is Joel Mullins with Workforce Development. TWC rules under Title 40, Chapter 802 of the Texas Administrative Code allow the Commission to establish monetary and non-monetary awards presented annually at the Texas Workforce Conference. On June 24th of this year, the Commission held a work session to discuss the future of awards, and at that time asked staff to develop recommendations for objectively based monetary board and AEL awards, as well as non-monetary awards for employers and other partners. There are 3 issues we're bringing forward to you today, and I will lay these out as a group for your consideration and discussion. First, issue number 1, this issue presents the proposed workforce awards for 2022 as outlined in attachment 1 of your materials, including the criteria and monetary award amounts, if any. As requested by the Commission, all monetary board and AEL awards are based on objective criteria, and monetary amounts for each award are consistent. These monetary awards for the boards include the service to employers, service to job seekers, child care employment and training connections, vocational rehabilitation integration, and registered apprenticeship expansion. And for AEL grantees, the AEL Best in Class and AEL Co-Enrollment. We're also proposing a number of non-monetary awards. These are the Large Employer of the Year, Small Employer of the Year, the Veteran Friendly Employer of the Year, Hireability Employer of the Year, Local Employer of Excellence, as well as the Texas Adult Scholar of the Year and the All-Star College Award. Moving on to issue number 2, this is related to eligibility for board and AEL awards. Chapter 802 rules allow TWC to modify eligibility for and assignment of awards based on factors that the Commission identifies as extraordinary circumstances, which includes corrective action. The proposed changes in your meeting materials clarify that technical assistance plans will not disqualify a board or AEL grantee from awards eligibility, and makes additional changes to simplify this process. And finally, issue number 3 is related to eligibility for the employer awards. Historically, employer awards have been presented to private sector employers, both for-profit and nonprofit, but not public employers such as governmental agencies. However, the Commission has never adopted a formal definition of private sector employers. At this time, staff seeks direction on the following items. One, presenting awards to boards, AEL grantees, colleges, and employers as set forth in the Workforce Awards Overview attachment. Number two, considering extraordinary circumstances specifically as related to corrective action when identifying a board's or AEL grantee's eligibility to receive awards as outlined in your materials. And number three, adopting the definition of private sector employers as included in your meeting materials. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any comments or questions?
Joel, thanks for all the great work that you put into this. I know you've been working on it for some time, so I appreciate that.
No comments, questions here.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move, and correct me if I'm wrong, Joel, when we do the recommendation here in the motion. I move that we modify the Workforce Awards for 2022 as outlined by staff on the Workforce Awards Overview attachment. Consider extraordinary circumstances as outlined in the discussion paper when identifying a board or AEL grantee eligibility to receive awards, and use the employer definition recommended by staff when considering eligibility for employer awards. The three areas.
Good. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We're unanimous.
Thank you.
Statewide Initiatives, number 17. Nope. COVID-19 report, number 18. Item 19, Workforce Development Board nominations.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, and Mr. Cerna. For the record, Shanta Williams with the Workforce Development Division. And for your consideration this morning is Workforce Board nominations for three areas: Workforce Solutions Tarrant County, Gulf Coast, and Middle Rio Grande. Staff recommends that all nominees be approved, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Any comments or questions?
None here, Chairman.
None.
Is there a motion?
I move that we approve board nominees for Tarrant County, Gulf Coast, and Middle Rio Grande.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We're unanimous. Thank you. Legislative report.
Good morning, Chairman Daniel, Commissioner Alvarez, Commissioner Demerson, Mr. Cerna. Christopher Grunning, Government Relations Department. We previously reported on the federal government funding expiring at midnight on this Thursday, September 30th. Yesterday, the U.S. Senate brought up H.R. 5305, the continuing resolution to fund the federal government from October 1st through December 3rd, as well as a suspension of the federal debt limit. The resolution did not receive the necessary votes in the Senate to pass. The U.S. House has announced that they will introduce a clean CR, which would only include federal government funding if the Senate is unable to approve that continuing resolution, House Resolution 5305, by Thursday to avoid a government shutdown. As of now, the clean CR has not been introduced. Last week, it was reported that the U.S. House will take up the $1 trillion infrastructure package, H.R. 3684, this week. The U.S. Senate passed the bill in early August. This is the bill that includes a provision to end the employee retention tax credit early. This concludes my remarks, and I'm available to take any questions you may have.
Any comments or questions?
Thanks for the overview.
No, none here.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No executive.
Is there any other order of business come before the commission?
Chairman, I would like to acknowledge a birthday today. Ibrahim Hassan, who is our officer in the back. We're celebrating today his birthday, so I appreciate what you do. That's all I have, Chairman.
Commissioner Alvarez, you're not going to sing.
Am I going to what?
So he wants to know if you're going to sing happy birthday.
Until we get our uniforms.
Get the megaphones.
There'll be a delay on that.
You can start it off, sir.
That's
You can start it off.
We're good. We're good.
Let's let him have a happy birthday and us not sing. How about that? Anything else?
Agree.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Chairman, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. We're